All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 278. So, for today's status update, once again, there are still no updates on the anticipated appeal from the landlord. Still don't even have a case number on that. Okay, as for sponsored block types, there were 2 of them that were purchased, and I've added those to the game, and I did a new push. I merged in the pending changes and pushed the newest version with the 2 new block types. So there's 2 additional block types available to be sponsored in the Shopify Store. And once again, I worked on the next long form video with some more graphics. I think I'm approaching the end of the new graphics. There's some other stuff that I want to film, but it's difficult. We're in the middle of winter, and it's difficult to get. I want to do a couple outdoor shots, and it's difficult to get. There's not enough sunlight. It's cloudy every single day. Aaron W3L says hi. How's it going? Orthoplex64, how's it going? So, we will clone the latest today. So let's make sure it works. So I should probably also deploy the server because I added additional values to the block schema file. And if I try and connect to it with an out-of-date client, it'll crash. Have you thought of leaving Canada altogether? People, there's a strangely large number of people who suggest that I just like randomly move somewhere, like, move to Mexico, move to Romania, move to Russia, and stuff. I would go somewhere if I had like ties to that place or like assets in that location or something, but like when you don't have a lot, having at least some familiarity to the place is a pretty big asset. And having like small amount of family that I have is in Canada here. The question though is like, if I left Canada, where would I go? That's my question. And of course, there's tons of people that say move to this place or that place, but I don't know. I moved every 6 months or every 4 months for almost 5 years during my co-op. So I've been through the process of like seeing what it's like to move to a new place, but it's a lot of work. It's just so much work to start over constantly. I'm like, what's his name? Seriously asking, what temperature do you keep your apartment in the winter? I actually don't even know. It's the heating is centralized, so I have no control over when the heating turns on or off. Actually, I had a problem with it was too hot in some of the winters, so I had to get a plumber to come and like turn this valve, because I live in like an older building, and the only way to, and so he came here. The plumber had to come to try and like turn this valve to turn the heat down, and no one had actually turned the valve in so many years that it was corroded. So the handle just broke off, and then he had to like tap it and like build a new fitting to put the tap on, which took like 30 minutes to adjust it. You have no heating cost then. Everything is included in my rent, which is why I pushed so much to hang on to. So that's what's in the lease agreement. It's factored into rent. Yeah, it's all the heating, the water, and the electricity is all in the rent, is all included in the lease. So those two circles, those are the newest additions of block types. All right, and then there you can see those are the two new block types: calcinated anthracite and kaolin. How insulated is your apartment? Used to live in one. It was extremely poorly insulated. Tenants paid utilities. There was no incentive to upgrade. This is a pretty old building, so to be honest, I'm not actually sure. Like in terms of compared to modern standards, if the older buildings are like insulated better. I know it's like the heating is actually kind of inefficient because, well, one of the things they did with the newer apartments is they got rid of the like centralized. I guess it's like I think it's like they have just water that flows through pipes or something, and I think that's how it was, like a centralized boiler or something. And for some of the newer apartments, they upgraded it to just like a regular baseboard electric heating. Right, I think that's what they did, but yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I guess probably the boiler heat is it's probably more cost effective to do the boiler heat, but then there's more losses. I don't know. I guess that would be an interesting physics problem to investigate, but have you considered book narration or voice work? You have a good voice for storytelling when you're energized. I guess I could, but AI's. I've started this career path at exactly the wrong time because AI is going to totally replace everything. I guess I could like fingerprint my voice with AI and sell that. Let's try the multiplayer clients. No. How do you determine what minerals to add next? Most common to least common? I haven't really thought a lot about it. I kind of for the first thing, I optimized it for like the most explainable. So I said it'll be focused on like iron ore. So I added a whole bunch, all the types of iron ore. I'll probably focus it. I'll focus it mainly around mining, and then just build out all the ore types of mining first, and then slowly maybe add some more. I guess whatever like the most common things are to mine. That seems like a good place to start. And then I also so I added, what was it? Oh, I don't have any in here. The calcinated anthracite. So I want to add a new crafting recipe to go from wood to charcoal, and then and I'd like to keep it focused on cast numbers because those are standardized. So instead of coal, I'll probably just say like you go from wood, you harvest some wood, and then produce calcinated anthracite. And then I guess as I build out the system, it would kind of make sense to just make it closer to reality, so that way I could rely on like actual physical rules to maybe like slowly start to generalize it more and make it more like a, the eventual goal could be like something close to like an actual physical simulation of mining. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking this is like AI could actually really help out with stuff like this, because I could use AI to like if I build like a templated way to add a new block, and I could use AI to say like, what is the chemical formula of this cast number? Like what conditions does this block produced in? And then I could use that for like terrain generation, and like AI would just be useful at scavenging the data associated with a type of block and giving like textures and stuff. You can make textures automatically. Like back in the past, I was thinking, if I ever did a 3D version or something, I could like buy samples of the metal of these minerals and like take a picture of them or something, because some of them are kind of rare. But you could probably just use AI now to like make a really neat sample, and it would look pretty close to the real thing. Alec Jeffrey 4600 sends 3 waving hands. How's it going? Yeah, those are just ideas, but I do think having like just a very simple, repetitive kind of game engine, and then coupling that with AI could allow you to actually like build out a lot of really interesting stuff. That's not just like AI slop garbage, like using it to curate data. Like you could probably even like there's questions like so of these elements, you could do some really interesting things right now with AI. So for example, some of these like if you want to classify the block types according to a certain metric, like some of these are elements in the periodic table, and you could have like a query call that says like, answer only with yes or no. Is the following thing a literal element in the periodic table? I could say calcium carbonate, and then it would say no. And you come down to metallic copper, and that would come back with yes. And I guess it's conceivable it could make mistakes, but or if you want to kind of automatically auto-classify things into various sets. So, for example, you could have the set of blocks that are plants, or that are like that would burn. You could say like just have an API call that says, "Is a wooden block something that could burn?" And then AI should be able to say yes to that. And then you could say, "Does bauxite burn?" And it would say no. Or we could even like maybe get more granular. You could say like, what is the difference in like if you try to burn this, how much energy is released or something? Or you could stand, what is the difference in enthalpy or entropy, or I forget the chemical name for these kinds of things. So like how many joules, what's the molar mass of this chemical or something like that, and then you could just automatically build like a massive table with a bunch of API calls. Okay, we verified that it works. Now, the next thing that I was going to do was in the multiplayer interface, and also the server. So for this thing, I want to get rid of this. Ideally, I want to move out all of these. Okay, I think the key is going to be the connect method. I think I'll have to use like a dependency on version. There's a way to untangle this, but the way I do it, I want it to work the same way with this here. So I think part of my problem is these should not be in here. Raising funds for a world abomination? No, a domination. Oh, abdomination. Abdominal domination? That sounds like a workout video. Like one of those things you have to buy that was advertised on TV or on the shopping channel. Sounds like a strenuous exercise. Yeah, it sounds like one of those kind of cult like exercises, like CrossFit or whatever. And then you have to buy this workout video for 3 easy payments of $19.99. And then it's just this really enthusiastic guy telling you to work out, but it's not really that unique. Sounds strenuous, not painful. What about hammer holds? I don't know. That doesn't sound like good marketing. But wait, there's more. Yep. If you call now, you'll get this piece of plastic, a $25 value. So this method will have to go with the others. I think I know how that's going to have to work. Stock Stores, MP5QH says, hey, how's it going? AKA Piles, staying at home. Far more than weak, and never move out of your bed and eat burgers. That's not a very good workout. Java WebSockets. Yep. So it can be accessed via web, implemented from scratch, or used library. The WebSockets itself is it's like Spring WebSockets, like the actual. I guess it depends what you mean by implemented from scratch, but it's like the actual like HTTP stuff. That's all in the library. Okay, I think I know how to do it. Yeah, what does a container look like on the server? Doesn't have one. Okay. I think I know how to do it. I just need to not forget. So this will keep a reference to the everything class. There really is an ab dominator with an infomercial. It's a rolling thingy the user has to get on with knees and roll around. Yeah, it sounds like a. I guess it's not surprising. That's too good of a name for a workout, for one of those cheesy workout things. Think about how much money they made off that. It's probably a piece of like injection mold plastic that costs $5 to make. But they advertise it with all these like smiling people who are super fit. Just be very enthusiastic. That's how you sell a product. I think this will work nicely. being unfit? Introducing the Ab Dominator. With only 3 easy payments of $19.99, you're going to be looking fit in no time. But that's not all. If you call now, Giordani says, "Hello there, how are you?" I'm pretty good. I think I figured out the next step in my refactoring work. So we're taking steps on that. How are you? I'm great. Excellent. I'm advancing on programming and English. Nice. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you were learning JavaScript. Yes, each day feel a bit more familiar with syntax, how language works. Yeah, actually, my tip for like figuring out JavaScript, like technically the way things evaluate and the way they're interpreted. I'm not sure how it is these days, but it used to be like you could have this thing equals that thing, like it's just a simple equals expression. And JavaScript is not actually perfectly standardized across all browsers. So back in the day, when Internet Explorer was a thing, you would do like one expression in Chrome, and it would come out with one evaluation, and then another in Firefox, and another in Internet Explorer. So that made it even more confusing for like corner cases. But I would suggest open up just do the inspect element tool and play around. That's a good fast way to learn to just like play around with expressions. Like just type like open square bracket, close square bracket, and then like dot, and then just explore through that menu and see what is there, and then you can just like try out expressions, like you just do like array equals 0, and just see what it does, and then it'll evaluate it. And I think even within the console, if you just evaluate something, it'll come back with the object, and then you can like open and explore the object and stuff. It's just very like a very fast feedback loop. So I guess the way I'll get this to work, I'll make an instance of this. Every time I create a client, oh yeah, I didn't implement any of those. Now, the dilemma is that the implementation of this is different between the single and multiplayer client. So in single player, connected does nothing, but in multiplayer it does something. The multiplayer would be P2P. Yeah, you would host a server. Basically, it would be you would just host like a Tomcat server, which is there's one in the repo, so you just deploy it to a port, and then from the client you connect to that. It's not quite as easy as like Minecraft multiplayer, but yeah, there's a standalone like a WAR file to deploy the server, and then clients can just connect to it. Because that has an unopened method. Would you move your project from GitHub to an alternative GitHub, like GitLab or something else? I can't really see any advantage to that. GitHub is just a mirror. Okay, that's the single player client. I haven't really changed anything, but I'll probably commit what I have, then move another class into the core package. Okay, that works. GitHub uses your code to train AI. I would assume GitLab would too. I just assume that if the code is out there, then it's public. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay, so this class let's move that into the core package. Yeah, I mean, technically, you're probably like more explicitly giving away your stuff, but we're headed for a crazy future where everyone's just gonna like ignore copyright and steal everything and use AI to launder it. And I don't think the courts are going to be able to do anything about this. I think it's just going to be like this exponential blob of knowledge. Realistically, that's probably how it will be. Yeah, I mean, from all these online discussions, I've thought this has put me through a lot of thoughts about the future implications of AI. And I think it's going to be more crazy than most people even think. Like, there's just, every once in a while, I think about things from one direction. Like, in the future, I think people are going to try to federate their data and keep, like, certain private data. But I think it's going to become, like, impossible to keep data private. It's going to end up leaking through, like, in some, like, fractional way through weights. Run your own GitLab instance. Since you said GitHub is just a mirror. Yeah, I assume GitHub can go away at any second. For real? I mean, what for real specifically? About something about AI? There's GitEA. I'm gonna dedicate 0% of my brain power to thinking about that. It's the least of my problems is where the GitHub is posted, or where the Git repo is hosted. I'll do the same for the single player client. GitHub be using repository code to train AI? I would assume they do that. It's probably in their terms of service or something, but public repos would be, well, I mean, it probably depends on the license technically, but then again, GitHub is owned by Microsoft now, so they could be like Microsoft was trying to like vacuum up all your personal files and stuff to train with AI, and I think they're trying to cram through all that stuff. I'm sure like if you try to use a copy of Windows now, there's probably some dialogue. They trick you into clicking, and you say like, I grant Microsoft permanent ability to train AI with everything on my computer. And then it just steals all your personal data and puts it in the cloud. That's going to have crazy privacy implications. Because now you'll be able to have like imagine an LLM, a super LLM trained on like every piece of text that exists on anyone's computer. So you can like type a very specific rare password, and then it'll be like, oh, do you want to autocomplete this as like, so you'll type like, *7 \2F9, and then it's like, oh, did you mean this thing? And it'll give you a list of password suggestions because it knows everyone's password, and they're all stuck in the LLM, and the company just doesn't care to take it out of there. It's interesting how we go forward in terms of technology. Now we want to go back in time when people didn't care about your data. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting future we're headed toward. It's complicated. Knowledge is power, especially if you benefit from it. Yep, that's why they want to take all of our knowledge and steal it so they can become infinitely powerful. Okay, and the reason I did that is because now I can just check the instance type. Now, even when you pay for services, they come with ads. Yep, everything's just going to get more and more draconian. The system is they're gonna charge you money to steal your data. Meow made B7D says 3. All right, maybe I'll stop while I'm ahead tonight. I think I thought I'd maybe get further tonight, but yeah, basically I'm just gonna make it so that the client and server thread launcher will own where'd it go? A WebSockets communication processor class. So you just instantiate it. So it'll be instantiated inside either the client block model context or in that server thread launcher class. And it is the client endpoint annotation. So I think this should work. And then once these are implemented, which I'm not working on now, not implemented. Okay, I'll have to look through this, because there's like, each of these has to pass through like 3 layers. But eventually that should solve like 3 problems. That'll invert the dependency. That'll remove the need for those getters and setters, which removes the race conditions, and that'll also make it robust within that block model context class. Let's see. Yeah, I guess in the block model context class, or the block thread collection class, it'll figure out which block context to pass it to. But all right, that'll be it for tonight. I'll pick things up again tomorrow for day 279. All right, have a good night.